Welcome back to episode 5 of my Bevy tutorial series. In the last tutorial, we built a basic combat system. Now in this video, we're going to add some juice to the combat. We will cover audio in Bevy, some basic special effects, and finally, some basic frame-by-frame animation. The first thing we're going to do is add a dependency on Bevy Kira Audio. Bevy's built-in audio is currently in a very primitive state and is receiving some updates in version 0.7, but the community uses Bevy Kira Audio and it will be merged into Bevy eventually. Setting up Kira requires us to remove the audio feature from Bevy, so we need to change our TOML file to manually select features. The cheat book describes how to do this in detail. We also want to set up Kira to support any file format we may have audio in. Now we actually need some music and sound effects. I'm getting my music from itch.io, and I'm getting some Creative Commons background songs. I've chosen a combat song from the Of Far Different Natures loop bundle, and an overworld song from this chiptune pack by Joshua McLean. I'm also going to make some basic sound effects for attacking and winning a fight using JFXR. Now we can start adding audio to our game. I'm going to create a game audio plugin, which will handle all of our audio for the game. I'm planning on keeping all audio functions in this module, and I'm going to make the plugin react to the game state to play sound effects. The other way to handle audio would be to have systems throughout the game able to play songs and sound effects, but I find it easier if any audio bugs are all handled in a single file. Here we add the audio plugin from Bevy Kira Audio, and we need to create a loading system. The load audio system will need commands, the audio resource the audio plugin added, and the asset server. Now we can load our audio files to get handles just like we did in episode 1, and we'll save these handles in an audio state resource. The Kira plugin uses a channel system where we can play different audio on different channels and change their settings independently. I'm going to create a channel for background music, combat music, and one for sound effects, and I'm going to save the volume separately in the audio state resource. Now we just need to set the channel's volume and insert the resource into our world. The Kira example keeps track if audio is loaded and is a good example of querying the asset server. But in my testing, game seems to function even if audio is not yet loaded, so I'm going to skip that complexity for this video. Now let's create a system to start playing our background music. All we need here is the audio resource and our audio state resource, and then we just call audio.playLoopedInChannel with the song handle and the channel. We make this a startup system, and now whenever we play the game, our music will start. Now just to test out more of Kira Audio, let's create a system to change the volume of the background music. We need keyboard input, the audio resource, and the audio state resource. When we press up, we want to add to the current volume, and when we press down, we'll subtract. And then we'll clamp the values between 0 and 1 because the audio levels behave weirdly outside of this range. And finally, we'll set the volume for the background channel. Next, we can set up our combat music. On entering the combat state, we want to pause background music and play our combat song. We pause the background so we can resume it where we left off so the player doesn't constantly hear the first 5 seconds of the background music. Now we just add those as systems on entering and exiting the combat state. Finally, we can create a system to play our damage sound effect every time there's a fight event. We just need a system to read our fight events, and then, if the iteration count is more than 0, we'll play the effect. Remember that the event reader gives us all the events that happen in the frame, so this system will run every frame regardless of an event being written. Next up, we want to add more visual effects to our combat system. First off, if you pay attention, you'll hear the damage effect playing twice. This is because there are 2 fight events happening right after each other. One when the player attacks, and one when the enemy attacks. This isn't what we want, so let's add some extra states to combat where we'll have time where the effects can play. I'm going to call these player attack and enemy attack. Let's also make a resource which will handle all of our special effects and transitioning between these states. This might not be the best long-term architecture, but we are just prototyping out the basic effects today. We need a timer to advance the states, and I want the enemy to flash when it's attacked, so let's make a flash speed parameter. We insert this resource, and now let's make a system to run during the attacks. I'm going to use the same system for both attacking states, but in the future it might make sense to break this up into more systems. Our handle attack effects system needs the effects resource, the time to tick our timer, the graphics of the enemy, and the combat state to advance to the next turn. Now in the system, we will tick our timer and we'll get the enemy visibility. Eventually we'll also need to add support for multiple enemies, but let's just go one step at a time. Now if the state is the player's attack, then I want to alternate the enemy's visibility based on our timer to flash the enemy sprite. Finally, if the timer is finished, I want to force the enemy visible, and I want to set the state to the next person's turn. We need to add this as a system set to run during the attacking states. And after we change the attacks to go into our effect state and run the game, we'll see the enemy flashes when it's hit, and the sound effects will play one after each other. Next, we want an effect for when the player takes damage. I'm going to go with an Earthbound-inspired side-to-side screen shake. We will add a setting to our effects resource for the current shake and the upper bounds on the shake. Now in the attack system, if the enemy is attacking, we'll set the current shake to the sine of the timer percent times 2π, which should give us one good shake on each hit. All we need next is to set the combat camera X to be offset by the shake amount. When we play the game now, attacking the bat plays the sound effect and the bat flashes, and then the bat attacks playing the sound effect and it'll shake our screen. I think this makes combat feel a little bit more lively, but I'm sure you'll have many ideas on how to make this feel better in your own games. As a bit of cleanup, we need to add the player's health on screen. Let's make a system to spawn the player's health text. We just need commands, the ASCII sheet, and a query for the player's stats. We want to spawn the ASCII text with the current health value, and let's offset it by the player's transform so we can have it be a child of the player entity. We position the text in the bottom left of our screen using our normalized coordinates. Next, let's create a tag component called combat text, which will mark all of the text we need to clean up at the end of combat. Finally, let's generalize the health updating to spawn the new text exactly where the old text was, so we can use the same system for both the player and the enemy. Now we just need a system to remove all the combat text when we exit combat. Also, if the player won the fight, then we probably want to give them a reward. Let's add a state to the combat state enum named reward. And we'll set the state to reward if the enemy has 0 health. Now on entering the state, we can give the player a reward, and we'll spawn a combat text alerting them of it. We need commands in the ASCII sheet to spawn our text, and we want to mutate the player to give the reward. We will add experience points to the player component, and now our system just gives the player 10 experience points and prints the message. Finally, let's make one more system to create the combat ending fadeout when the player presses space in the reward state. Notice we have the same bug where input is not cleared when changing states, so let's manually clear it in the give reward function for now. Also, we can go back to audio and play the reward sound effect whenever the combat state becomes reward. As our last task for today, we're going to finally break away from ASCII graphics. I've gotten a basic sprite sheet from OpenGameArt, and we're going to replace our enemy with this flapping bat. Let's create a graphics plugin to handle our animations. I'm only going to do the bat in this episode, but all other graphics should be easy to add to this base. This is another style of doing plugins that Solaroff on my Discord server showed me after the long coding session on Friday. Here we have all the systems be implemented on the plugin strut, and then our helper functions are free-floating. This creates a clear distinction between systems and functions and might be a style worth trying out in your projects. First, we need a system to load our graphics just like in episode 1. We get the handle to the image and we'll set it up as a grid. Then we add this to the Texture Atlas assets and we'll save the handle in a character sheet resource. I'm also going to mark which frames are the bat animation in this resource. Now we can make a helper function to spawn a bat, and this is almost identical to our spawn ASCII function but with less parameters. And we'll change our combat to spawn the bat sprite instead of the letter B. If you'll look, you'll notice the pixel bleeding problem from episode 1 here. I'm manually fixing the sprite sheet to add 2 pixels of padding here, so we don't get that problem. If you're using tiles to cover the entire ground, like grass or something, then you don't want to pad with transparency, but instead you want to pad with the pixels on the border of each tile, so that way you don't leak transparent pixels creating lines in your grid. Next we need to set up frame-by-frame animation. I'm going to make a component that holds the timer, the frames we want to use for our animation, and the current frame. Now we just need a system to do the animation, which will take the timer, and if the timer is finished, then it will advance to the next frame and update the index of the texture atlas sprite. Finally, our spawn bat function will add our new component to the bat. Now when we play the game, we'll see the bat flaps and is animated correctly. As one last touch-up, let's despawn the bat when we're giving the player a reward. This week was a little short, but we covered many different polished steps in making the game. We learned how to use Kira audio to play music and sound effects, and we added some special effects to our combat system. We also set up the basics for an experience system and started removing our placeholder graphics and adding some animation. I hope after this week the game actually feels a little bit more alive, and you have some inspiration as to how to add juice to your Bevy projects. As always, there is a link to the GitHub for this project in the description, and an invite to the Discord server if you have any questions or want to chat about Bevy. Please remember to like and subscribe if this was helpful, and thank you for watching.